Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Welcome to the online meeting of Speakers Community Toastmaster Club. I am pleased to be your sergeant at arms for today's meeting. In the online meeting environment, there are a few instructions that we follow. First, I request you to rename yourself. All Toastmasters can prefix TM to your name, and guest can prefix guest. I also request all the speakers and role holders to prefix their role to their name so it's easy to identify them. I'll give you 10 seconds for this activity. Second, all speakers are requested to do a quick audio and video check before they start their speech. Tech host will confirm on the settings. Third, I'll request you not to type in the chat box when a speaker is speaking as it disturbs the speaker. You can use the private chat to provide feedback. Fourth, you all are requested to keep your audio on mute in case you are not speaking. Please refrain from unnecessary movement or sipping on drinks if your video is on. Please turn off the video in case you need to do so. Fifth, do not click on the screen share unless your speech or role requires you to do so. Sixth, you can display a hi-fi or namaste when taking over or leaving from a role. Seventh, you can connect with the tech master for any technical glitch. The tech master for today's meeting is me myself, Toastmaster Sachin. If you are a speaker, then please ensure you pin the timer or confirm the same is visible at all times. This meeting has been recorded. In case you have any reservations, please let us know. You can network during the break and after the meeting. Let me share the mission of the club. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. By this, I will introduce Presiding Officer, Distinguished Toastmaster Ankit. So Distinguished Toastmaster Ankit has been a Toastmaster for over 6 years. Presently, he is serving as a Division M Director in District 98. Previously, he has served the district as a Club Extension Chair, Area Director, and Assistant Division Director, and has served in club officer roles such as Vice President Membership, Vice President Education, and Treasurer. He is currently serving as the President of Speakers Community Toastmaster Club. Professionally, he is a banker working with the Standard Chartered Bank. Along with public speaking, he is passionate about running marathons and playing sports such as football and basketball. With this, I'll welcome the presiding officer of the day, Distinguished Toastmaster Ankit, to take you to further proceedings. Over to you, Distinguished Toastmaster Ankit.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster and Sergeant at Arms Sachin. I would request you to spotlight me. Thank you. Toastmasters and guests, welcome to the 9th meeting of Speakers Community Toastmasters Club. It's wonderful to see all of you present here today, and rest assured we are going to have a wonderful meeting. Today meeting is special because we are having a speakathon, that is a speech marathon, wherein we'll have all our talented speakers from our club give prepared speeches, and we'll have our experienced evaluators give evaluations. But I'll not tell you the suspense. There is a Toastmaster that is going to do that. But before talking about the Toastmaster of the day, let me welcome, let me just check whether he's here or not. If Zoom Master, can you please tell me if Sanish is here? No, okay. So we have a district dignitary here. We have Toastmaster Swapna Shirodkar, who's area P2 director. So thank you, Swapna, for joining us today. And now, before I move ahead with the session, I would like to have an introduction from all our guests who have joined us today. So I would request the guests, as I call out your names, to please come on stage, tell us about how you came to know about Toastmasters and what you are expecting from this session, a little bit about yourself in brief. Once I call you, please open your video and just let us know about you. So first I'll start with our guest, Arpita Mishra. Arpita? Okay. Our guest, Gayatri Narkar. Gayatri, if you can go on unmute
Oh
and
yeah,
just
sure.
introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi. I got to know about Toastmaster from one of my friends. He's part of Pune Kharadi Toastmasters Club, and I'm an automation engineer. I'm currently working for Zenith Technologies, and I have 5+ years of experience in pharma automation. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Great. Thanks, Gayatri, for joining our club. And I wish you have a good session. We'll
Sure,
touch
thank you.
base after the session is done. Thank you. Next, we have our guest, Bharat. Bharat, it would be great if you can just unmute yourself
Yeah.
and introduce us.
Good day,
Introduce
everyone.
yourself.
My name is Bharat Singh. I learned about the Toastmaster when I was seeing a video of how to improve your English and vocabularies, and how to tell your what you can say, convey your feelings to everyone. Okay, while you're standing in front of 100 people, 200 people, because I'm quite an introvert type of person who can't do that thing. So I thought to join the Toastmaster for the same. And right now I'm working with Motilal
Great.
Oswal as a financial advisor. I'm working for 2 years. Yeah, thank you for that.
Great. Thanks, Bharat. And rest assured, there are many of us who are scared still or were scared before to come on stage and speak. But by practice makes a man or a woman perfect. And that's how we develop in Toastmasters. So hope you have a good session today and you can connect post the session. Now let's move ahead with the session. And you can see there is something in my background. Does anyone know what that is? If you can just raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Disneyland.
That is a
Yes.
castle.
So this
Disneyland.
is Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Plan.
Yes, right. So this is Disneyland. And if I can just see a raise of hand or maybe on chat, how many of you have visited Disneyland ever? Okay, so I visited Disneyland last year before Corona in Shanghai. And it was a wonderful experience, a wonderful theme park, which has, I met Mickey Mouse, I met Donald Duck and other all Disney characters. So it was a wonderful experience reliving my childhood by going to Disneyland. But today I'm pretty sure we will again relive our childhood through our session today, which is being hosted by our Toastmaster of the Day. The Toastmaster of the Day for today is our very own member, Toastmaster Parvathy. Toastmaster Parvathy is a passionate cake decorator and baker. She lives in Ulve with her family, and she's also our club winner in international speech contest, and she came third in the area contest of area M5. So with a big round of applause, let's welcome our Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Parvathy. Toastmaster Parvathy, over to you.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster Ankit. Yes, I mean, your background is very, I don't know. It gave me goosebumps because that is one of my dreams to go and visit Disneyland. Maybe one day I will, surely. So, good afternoon and welcome, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Hakuna Matata. It means no worries for the rest of the days. Remember the song from our favorite Pumbaa and Timon from The Lion King? Cartoons, a beautiful part of our childhood. They taught us that everything is going to be okay, to believe in magic, to fall and rise again, and even communicating effectively. Remember Tom and Jerry? It's a wonder how they communicated effectively without any words. Today, let's revisit a few of our favorite people from the toon world. One of my favorite characters is what made me buy this dress, Minnie Mouse. So, each and every character of the cartoon plays a very important role in our childhood, in our even to our grown-up stage. Today, I hope I can give you wonderful experience through the cartoons once again. So it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome all of you to the Speakers Community Toastmasters Club. For the benefit of the guests, I would like to explain the structure of the meeting. Usually the meeting is divided into 3 rounds. The first is a prepared speech round, where members will be delivering speeches based on the projects and the parts that they have chosen. The second part is a session of table topics round, where the members can practice thinking and speaking on their feet. The third and the final part is the evaluation round, which all the prepared speeches as well as the other aspects of the session will be evaluated by the general evaluator. But today, we won't be having the table topic session. Today, we have a speakathon. So we would be having our vivacious speakers giving their prepared speeches. And for doing all this, we have our role players for today, the timer, the hour counter, and the grammarian. Now I will call upon the role players to introduce their roles and responsibilities. Let me call the timer for the day, Toastmaster Anand. Toastmaster Anand?
Yeah, am I visible and audible?
Yes, you are. So before you start with your roles and responsibilities, Anand, can you tell me who is your favorite cartoon character from your childhood?
Probably I've watched so many cartoons that I probably have become a cartoon myself, and that my wife has reassured. Probably I'm a mixture of Scooby-Doo, Tom, and as well as one of the queens, probably because I am always taunted to be a diva in my. So that's what I can say. These are my favorite characters which I have embodied.
And I must say that's the best combination that one can ask for.
So true.
Yes, thank you, Anand. So please go ahead with your roles and responsibilities.
Sure. Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Good evening. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am the timer for the day. As a timer, my duty is to time the prepared speeches and evaluations. For prepared speech, the time allocated varies as per the project and will be stated by the evaluator. For instance, an icebreaker time for icebreaker, the time allocated is 4 to 6 minutes, and for the evaluation, the time allotted is 2 to 3 minutes. Speakers must meet the specified time limits to qualify for the award at the end of the meeting. I'll display my screen. Just a moment. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. I'll display the green screen at the minimum qualifying time, the yellow screen at the midpoint of the qualifying time, and the red screen at the maximum qualifying time till the end of the speech. For prepared speech and evaluation, the speaker has 30 seconds grace before the minimum qualifying time and after the maximum qualifying time. All speakers who continue to speak beyond the 30 seconds grace will not qualify for the vote. I'll report the time taken by the speakers when called upon. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anand. Now I call upon the hour counter for the day, Toastmaster Lindsay.
Good evening, Toastmaster Parvathy.
Hi, Lindsay. Good evening. So, tell me, which is your favorite cartoon show and which has made it, why is it your favorite?
So my favorite cartoon show has been Aladdin and the Princess. It's a fairy tale. So it is you're transported to a dream world each time I watch that story. So that's been my all-time favorite from the Disney world.
Yeah, thank you, Lindsay. I know I always envied the carpet, I always wished I got that magic carpet of Aladdin. Anyway, thank you so much, Lindsay. Please go ahead with your roles and responsibilities.
Sure, Parvati. Thank you. So good evening to all of you. Today, my role is that of an hour counter. And as an hour counter, my duty is to note all the words and sounds that are used as crutch or fillers by the speakers During the meeting, I will listen to these words such as and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for filler sounds such as and I will note when a speaker repeats a phrase such as I, or this means, and of long or any short pauses. I will give my report when called for by the general evaluator. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Lindsay. Now we have our grammarian for the day, Toastmaster Sharon. Hi, Sharon.
Thank you, Parvathy. Hi, Parvathy.
So if you get to be a cartoon character for a day, which one would that be?
Yeah, so there is a cartoon which is Courage the Cowardly Dog. So, yeah, and I don't know if you know this because that was not a popular show. In that, the dog and the owner, Muriel, they would fight, they would find out the monsters and fight and all things happen. So I would like to be that dog, that scared little dog that was there in that show.
Of course, I know the show. I was a cartoon hogger, so I know all of them. Thank you, Sharon. Please go ahead with your
Me
roles and
too.
responsibilities.
Proper use of language can help you put your point across effectively, avoid misunderstanding, and enhance the flow of the speech. Hello, everyone. I am your grammarian of the day, and it is my responsibility to listen to each one of you, to note and to report any specific use of good grammar, uncommon words and phrases, and any ineffective use of grammar. It is also my responsibility to present the word of the day and the phrase of the day. The word of the day today is vivacious, which means attractive, lively, and an animated personality. And the usage would be unlike me, my sister has a vivacious personality. The phrase of the day is pull an all nighter, to stay up all night. So the usage is he pulled an all nighter to study the exam. I urge each of the speaker to use the word and the phrase of the day, and I will give my report when called upon by the general evaluator. Over to our vivacious personality, Toastmaster of the day, Parvathy.
Thank you, Sharon. Now I call upon our general evaluator for the day, Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Hey, hi, Parvati.
Hi, Vaibhav. Yeah. So during my childhood, there was this few cartoons which were the most talked about, like SWAT Cats and He-Man and all that. So in your childhood, which was the cartoon that was most talked about between you and your friends?
Well, I think if I remember while I was young, and during that summer vacation, I used to watch this cartoon which used to come 9:30 a.m. We used to wake up just to see that. I don't know how many of you've seen. The cartoon name was DuckTales, and there were these few specific characters in there like Uncle Scrooge and Huey, Dewey, and Wee, right? So I would love to have wealth like him and nephews like him anytime.
I think I'll come to DuckTales later on. It's there. It's there. Thank you, Vaibhav. Please explain your roles and responsibilities.
Sure, Parvati. Well, I'm the general evaluator for the day. I will handle the evaluation section of this meeting, which would ensure that we facilitate the speech evaluation and also an evaluation for the entire meeting as such, and how did we do overall and how are we progressing. So that would be my role. With that, let me hand it over back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you. So now we have heard about all the favorite tunes from all of them and their roles and responsibilities. When I look back, one of my favorite cartoon characters was Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. Their friendship and support for each other has always touched me. Whenever Scooby got scared, Shaggy was there to hold him, even though he too was scared to the core. So when all the rest of the team went different paths, these two were always together. Somehow it has got stuck in me. And I don't know, I always felt that relationship, the friendship, that has always stayed in me, and I use that as a guiding tool. So I never leave the side of my friends whenever they are in trouble. So now let's go to hear some of the heart-touching speeches by our speakers. First, we have Toastmaster Anisha giving her first speech of her journey of Toastmasters. That is the icebreaker speech. As per our tradition, I request all the fellow Toastmasters and guests to unmute and applaud her after her speech. Let me call upon her evaluator, Toastmaster Ruben, to read out the objective of the speech.
Yes, thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So, Toastmaster Anisha will be attempting her icebreaker speech, the purpose of which is for the member to introduce herself to the club and learn the basic structure of the speech. Timer, please note the timing is all the best, Toastmaster Anisha. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you. Speaker 1, Toastmaster Anisha. Topic, roots remind you where you're from. Roots remind you where you're from. Toastmaster Anisha.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. Can I see the cards? Okay. Okay. Good evening, TMOD Parvathy, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Roots reminds you, where are you from? A lot of us have heard this term army brat. Today, it primarily refers to any child who has grown up with a parent in the army, has never lived in a place more than 3 years, studied in army school, made new friends, and stayed connected with most of them, lived in cantonments, would know at least couple of people who have served in the highest battleground on earth. I am one of them. We army brats don't really belong to one place. When I will get introduced by my civilian friends, it would generally happen like this. Hey, meet my friend Anisha. Her dad is in army. Response, great. Where are you from? Everywhere. Almost all army brat know at least one more language besides English and Hindi. I know 5. Punjabi, Dogri, and Telugu. We grow up in a disciplined environment, not in a regimented one. Army kids are not treated like cadets at home. Yes, there is a certain discipline that is followed in terms of pursuing sport, playing game, study time, socializing. We are extremely adaptable to weather, housing, environment, food, and learn to make best out of it. We have grown up that way. Home is where the army takes us. And we have seen our moms create wonderful homes in whatever is given by the government. I have been to places like Assam, Kashmir, Dehradun, Jaisalmer, now in Lord Krishna's arm, Mathura. Being a Brahmin, I spiritually connect to this place. Remembering of my child school days, I am all into co-scholastic activities, be it dance, plays, sport, debate, all. In my 10th grade, my friend introduced me this field called fashion. I was so fascinated. My creative kida started juggling to explore more. I got damn serious that I took humanities as my stream for 2 respected years and took coaching classes for getting into my dream college, NIFT, National Institute of Fashion Technology. And here I am, a NIFTian. I'm pursuing fashion communication from NIFT Delhi. As a teenager, you feel lots of emotional imbalance, which is totally normal. As it's a process to grow. Last year in this COVID time, I felt little low, not happy with myself, not recognizing my true potential, forgetting my roots. So I started reading self-help books, listening podcasts, focusing on my health, my eating habits, joined communities like SILS and Toastmasters. Talking about Toastmasters. In my first meeting, I imagine it to be a kind of coaching where a tutor will be preaching us on how to speak. To my surprise, it is not. Everyone subscribes to improve others while improving themselves. I had realized this is exactly what I was looking for. By giving this icebreaker, it gave me a chance to remember my roots. They are the foundation of my life and the wings of my future. As William Gibson said, the future is already here. It's not evenly distributed. I'll be working in some creative field. I want to work in some industry, especially South Indian. I don't know what it is, but I am extremely fascinated and keen to know more about them. As I started learning their languages and making good connections. So, as I'm doing here, what Toastmasters is for, and I'm looking forward to grow more. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster Parvathy.
Thank you, Anisha. Congratulations on your first speech for your Toastmasters journey. So, Anisha, before you go, can I know your favorite cartoon?
Mine is, I guess, Shin-chan. Little bit not that old-ish type. Still,
I know. Okay.
I know Ben 10, Shin-chan.
Thank you, Anisha. So now, over to our second speech for the day by Toastmaster Manas. He is giving his level 1 project 3 speech. Before I call upon the second speaker, I request evaluator Toastmaster Sumit to read out the objective of the speech.
Thanks, Toastmaster Parvathy. This is Sanish. I will be evaluating the second speech. So the purpose of the speech is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to the second speech. Timer, please note the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you, Toastmaster Parvathy.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sunish. Toastmaster Manas, hope and faith. Hope and faith, Toastmaster Manas.
Yeah, am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So, he shapes a Bengal tiger. He explores the issues of spirituality from an early age. He survives 227 days after a shipwreck while stranded on a lifeboat in a Pacific Ocean with a Bengal tiger. Is it a joke? No, it's the story of someone who did not give up. Several publication houses were there who rejected his story. But When his story eventually published, more than 10 million copies were sold out. Even a movie was made out of his story, Life of Pi. What's the unique about the story? It's about hope and faith. It's about never giving up. So good morning, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. If you are wondering why I say good morning at this afternoon, then let me tell you that it's hope and faith. Morning always give fresh air, lot of new hopes, strong faith to advance ahead, to make abundant progress. So always say good morning to make your day vivacious. So if it's been a year since now pandemic hit us, a lot of jobs were gone, lot of business houses were shut down, lot of lives were lost. There were public outcrying for help, but still the ratio of survival stage has not gone down as like economy. There is a hope and faith in everyone's eye that soon everything would be back to normal stage. Soon we would be back to our office. Soon we would see local train running. Soon we would see that same rush. That soon may we have that roadside pani puri and pav bhaji, all the things. That everyone, that battling for that in tough days with the hope and faith on God. That dark cloud may pour some drop of good luck and give us strong will, also an umbrella to survive in that thunderstorm. So here in that tough times, there are a lot of people who do not know how to survive, who do not know how to fight, who do not know how to keep moving ahead. But at same time, there were a lot of extraordinary people are there around us who make a mark in this tough time. Steve Jobs, one of such extraordinary person who came after his own company thrown out. He made another company much more stronger than his earlier one. Our, that Mukesh Ambani, one of such extraordinary person who was in 7th rank of world's richest person list prior to pandemic. But in this tough time, he put himself on 3rd rank. This is nothing. This is hope and faith on God. This is hope and faith on their caliberity, on their capability. It's sheer will power. My grandfather made me dependable person from my childhood by fulfilling all my dreams. My mother taught me to plant that seeds of hope and faith with the pure intention to get the tree of succeed with full of fruits. In my struggling days, I struggle hard to survive, to get the success. There is just, I walked every hurdles with the hope and faith to reach the next stage. My dream pull an all-nighter to get the success. Hope is a pillar of faith, as I believe. So I just run toward the success. It is the pillar which holds our desires and holds our dreams. Life is a story. It's up to us how we will like to write, how we will like to narrate. It's a color. It's up to us how we like to paint. So it is, life is totally about the story with hope and faith. We need to take the decision to change our life, to enhance our life and act on that. Going back to the story of the pie, it taught me that life is interdependent. And it's about the life to take the breath and all. So I am an entrepreneur, I am a dreamer, and right now I am here with my beautiful fellow Toastmasters with a hope to achieve my dream. I like to end my speech with a famous quote that life without God is hopeless, but life with God is endless hope. So we have the life to live full at its fullest with endless hope. So over to you, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Manas. That was nice. Manas, before you go, can I know if you can get one power from any of your favorite cartoon characters? What would that be?
You know that Shaktiman, I will do. I will like to do Shaktiman. Actually, it is not the cartoon, but it is like a cartoon, like Shaktiman. That it is the Mukesh.
Yes. That is, I think, everyone's dream to get the power of Shaktiman.
Yes, right.
Thank you,
Thanks a
Manas.
lot. Yeah.
Now, over to our third speech for the day, that is by Toastmaster Aarti. She is giving her level 1 project 4 speech. Before I call upon the third speaker, I request evaluator Toastmaster Sai Kumar to read out the objectives of the speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. The speaker is attempting project from the presentation mastery, researching a topic. The purpose of the project is for the members to learn or review basic research methods and present a organized speech. Timer, please note the time is 5 to 7 minutes. I wish speaker all the best. Over to you.
Thank you, Sai Kumar. Speaker 2, Toastmaster Aarti, sparrows and endangered species. Sparrows and endangered species, Toastmaster Aarti.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Can I show the timer card? Okay. Yes, I can see. Can you hear the chirping of this bird? Can you tell me which bird is this? Do you think our children will also be able to tell, to know which sound is this and tell the name of the bird? Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. When we were child, our grandma used to tell us the story of sparrows. Do you know? Our grandma used to tell us the story of sparrows. The sparrows But nowadays, just like our theme, the birds are watching only cartoons and not listening to the stories of sparrows. So so just like sparrows has disappeared from our life, from the stories, it has also disappeared from our life. Sparrows have also been referred to as a symbol of freedom of humanity, to have free will and choose between good and evil. A single sparrow on a roof represented sadness, depression, and insignificance. Sparrow symbolism means power, creativity, simplicity, community, and empowerment. By spreading seeds, sparrows help the survival of many plants that are the producers in an ecosystem. The sparrows in India are endangered and still battling to reclaim their niche in their natural habitat range. Population of sparrow has declined at an alarming rate in India, especially in late 1990s. A bird that dominated our life and culture disappears is disturbing. A healthy population of house sparrows in India has disappeared in urban areas because of habitat issues. India has shown a declining trend in the population of house sparrows in the last decade. In many places like Punjab, Haryana, Bengaluru, and West Bengal, etc., very sharp decline has been observed by ornithologists. According to recent study by ICAR, Indian Council for Agriculture Research, the population of sparrows has declined in Andhra Pradesh up to 70%. In other states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Kerala, it has declined up to 20%. In coastal areas, it has declined up to 70 to 80%. What is the main cause of the decline of this species? The main cause is unidentified, but it is believed that the unavailability of nest is the main cause. Other causes are rapid use of insecticides, competition with other species, etc. Modernization, deforestation, and construction can lead to their decline. Modern houses do not have place for sparrows to make their nests. There are many steps that have been taken. 20th March is celebrated as the World Sparrow Day. Delhi has declared sparrow a state bird. Rakesh Khatri is a bird activist and an ornithologist. His EcoRoots Foundation has created more than 1 lakh artificial bird nests to preserve sparrows. Why did Khatri do this? He saw many sparrows on the Delhi-Noida highway toll plaza while commuting to the office. One day he noticed people were plastering the holes in the walls to cover the place where sparrows were making their nests. So he asked them to stop, stating that he would report their activities to Indian Green Tribunal. The authorities fortunately allowed him to take further steps to preserve the sparrows. So after online research, he came up with the prototype of artificial bird nests and wooden bird houses. He put the artificial bird nest in the balcony and the roofs of throughout their colony with the permission of residents association. Why did he took this step? He wanted to ensure and save the sparrows. What we can do? We can also have one artificial bird nest in our balcony, and we can also gift it to someone as a birthday return gift for birthdays and anniversaries. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Aarti. Now, Aarti, before you go, now you know the drill. Your favorite cartoon character, please.
Yeah, I like Chota Bheem eating laddus and taking away laddus from the Tuntun Mosi and jumping here and there. I like him. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I like the laddus.
Yes, I also.
Thank you, Aarti. Now, our fifth speech for the day is by fourth speaker is by Toastmaster Kalpana. She is also giving her level 1 project 4 speech. So since the objective is the same as previous speaker, let me call upon Kalpana for her speech.
Thank you,
Toastmaster Kalpana, COVID communication challenges for disabled. COVID communication challenges for disabled. Toastmaster Kalpana.
Kindly give me at least 30 seconds. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Kindly give me 30 seconds to start. Aarti, you need to keep yourself on mute, please. Kindly give me 30 seconds to start. And there are one or two things I would like to say. I will be referring to my PowerPoint, which will be open in another device, as it will not be shared. So I hope I am allowed to do that. Hello.
Yeah, Kalpana.
Okay, done. So I'll be just referring to it as PowerPoint down. It will be open along with me on my laptop, and I will be speaking based on that. Just give me 30 seconds to prepare a few things. Just 30 seconds. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This is the communication that is happening in the times of COVID. COVID-19 has brought on a big challenge of communication to the disabled population of a country, especially those who are unable to speak or hear, that is deaf and dumb. According to one of the census, we are having at least 1.3 million deaf and dumb population in our country. And that is excluding of older generations who post 60 years have reported hearing loss as well as speech loss due to paralytical strokes. So how do these people who are unable to normally even communicate with us, how do they cope up in this challenging times of COVID when half of our face is actually covered with a mask? The only visible part of our face is nothing but eyes. Let me tell you how difficult it is for them. Let me narrate an incident that happened in our own country during the mass migrations in North India. Most of it with the states of UP, Bihar, Delhi, and the Union Territory because it involved mass migration of the laborers. Among those laborers were people who could not hear or speak, and they had no idea about the pandemic norms of wearing a mask, social distancing, and hygiene. As they trod their way back, they were not given or did not understand the quarantine. The people or the government officials did not understand their needs, whether they were thirsty, hungry, whether they wanted to use the washroom, or whether what distance should be maintained. They couldn't explain it to them. During the times when the pandemic, we need to save not just ourselves, but those who are physically handicapped too. And the only means that is there for us to reach out to them is communication. If that too is lost under a mask, what do we do? Of course, in the case of Delhi, there was a couple who was a speech therapist or a sign language experts called Purohit and Monica. They set up an online communication centers and also taught a little about the sign languages to the government officials. We all know that in India, even as we read the news, we do not have a sign language person reading out the news to people who cannot speak or who cannot hear. What do they depend upon to get their information? The mime that I just did before I started my speech was a conversation between a physically handicapped deaf and mute person and the doctor. The deaf and mute person is trying to convey that he is just having vertigo, headache, and no cough. But the doctor, who is also completely in a protective gear, whose only eyes are visible, is unable to understand the patient. The patient who is handicapped, who actually depends on nothing but sign languages, lip reading, sign languages, body language, and facial expressions, is totally lost because he cannot see the doctor's lips, he cannot see the doctor's expressions. So the medical staff also cannot help a physically disabled or a challenged person. How do we now ensure that this population of ours, which are already struggling in their day-to-day life, cope up? I think the way to cope up will be to ensure that there is some virtual connect, that we teach them something or have some videos recorded in sign language, telling to them the importance of distance, telling to them the importance of hygiene, and telling to them what a COVID pandemic can do and what are the actual symptoms. Another discovery or another invention, a very practical one which has come up, is a mask, but this mask over this area has plastic in it so that the lip movements are detected by the doctors. And the doctors have also asked the supply of these particular masks to the hospitals and their staff so that at least their lip movements are visible to the patient. On a global level, America has also faced the same challenge. America has ensured that all their supplies has reached them in their home, and these people are safe and do not feel isolated when it comes to communication. Braille system for the blind people is into process. I have also prepared a short video which I'll be sharing it on our group, where a person has made a mask that gets digitally lit up as your lip moves, a smile, a frown, and if at all you are keeping your mouth straight, or even if you're moving your lips, the words could be detected because it lights up. That's something I'll be sharing online with you guys. So steps are being taken. Where India is concerned, people like Monica and Purohit are there, and they are helping out these disabled or challenged people. As for our side, we can learn the basic signs. For example, this is the sign of L, O, V, E. We meant to say, we love you, disabled people. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Kalpana. Now, before you leave, one question. If you could bring one cartoon character to our physical world, which one would that be?
I don't think many will agree with me, but I think it will be Jerry, you know. I actually like the way he is extremely manipulative, yet very intelligent enough to cope up someone like Tom, who is 3 times his size and tackles him so well. So probably Jerry, though we none of us wants rats right here, right now on this earth.
I
But
know,
yes,
I
yes.
know. But that is an excellent choice. Excellent choice. Thank
Yes.
you, Kalpana. Okay, sorry. So now we move to our fifth speech for the day. That is by Toastmaster Amay. He is giving his level 2 project 3 speech. Before I call upon the fifth speaker, I request the evaluator, Toastmaster Shibani, to read out the objective of the speech.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share his or her style and impact with others. The time for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Timer, please make a note of it. All the best, TM Amir.
Thank you.
Over to you, TM.
Speaker 5, Toastmaster Amay. Establishing connections. Establishing connections, Toastmaster Amay.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I can see the cards also. अनारकली का फोन था, आइसक्रीम खाना जरूरी है. Many of us must have come across this dialogue from some movie. May I know how many of you know this dialogue, and this dialogue belongs to which film? Can you answer in the chat box? Oh wow, wonderful. That's great. So yeah, it's from Bazigar. So I would like to ask one question in this context. Was there any communication between the sender and receiver? Yes or no? Can someone post it? Okay, there was communication. Yeah, I've received one answer. All right. The second question I would like to ask is from the history. Now I would like to take back to 5,000, 6,000 years ago. We all know the story of Mahabharata, in which Lord Krishna was explaining the structure of Chakravyuh. In English, we call the Chakravyuh as labyrinth. That is a kind of a structure which is created to confuse the opponent. Okay, so when he was explaining Draupadi how to get inside the structure, after some time she fell asleep. She was carrying a child called Abhimanyu in her womb. It is said that even Abhimanyu heard how to get inside the labyrinth, but when Lord Krishna was telling her how to come out of that labyrinth, she slept. Later, when Abhimanyu grew up and there was this time when he has to actually confront in the battlefield, he confidently went into that labyrinth, but while coming out, we all know what happened to him. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, evaluators, in my speech today, I am going to explain my perception of communication, purpose of communication, and my communication style. Now, in the second, the incident which I narrated, may I ask our audiences, was there communication between the sender and receiver? Can anyone please help me in the answer? Yes, there was communication. Fine then. Now, since our childhood, we are learning the definition of communication. Communication simply, we were taught that anything which is expressed and through a channel, that particular expression in the form of a message, in the form of a body language, in the form of emotions, which is conveyed to the receiver is communication, right? So in both the cases, there was communication, but the communication wasn't established. So we know in the first case now, if the communication is present, but the idea is not conveyed, what havoc it can create. In the second incident also, when there was the important part of the communication, but it was not received properly by the receiver, we know what a tragedy the Pandavas had to encounter. So over here, we can say that communication is established, a rapport is established only when there is an acknowledgement of the message from the receiver. And even when we use a Wi-Fi connection at our home, the technical concept is that when you receive the message in the form of the packets, the receiver has to acknowledge the sender that the packets in the form of information are received. So in our life also, unless and until there is no acknowledgement from the receiver, we cannot say the communication is established, and this proves the purpose and significance of communication. So for me, communication is simply a block diagram in which there is a sender, there is a receiver, and there is a channel. And always a transmission shouldn't be one-sided, but it should be two-sided, which in engineering generally it is called as the full duplex communication. So now, since childhood, we are happy and comfortable in one-sided communication. That is, teacher is teaching us something and we feel that we shouldn't interact in the communication. There is no two-way communication. Again, when we go to the college, very few times we enjoy few lectures in which we intentionally like to participate in the two-way communication. Then the actual essence of the communication is understood and feel basically when we step up into our professional life. So in professional life, we take the communication seriously, which we generally didn't took during our school days or the college days, because there was no responsibility as such. So in our work profession, we know that communication is inherent. We know that even if we are very much smart in our work, we are able to do our work in the proper time. Still, that inherent part is a proper and adequate communication. Some people are so much expert that they use their own language or style in such a way that they impress the people, and even with a mere knowledge or even with a mere work, they are able to get promotions as well. So my style of communication is the analytical one. There are various styles, like we have direct communication, we have initiating communication, we have supportive communication, and we have analytical communication. So I am a person who believes in analytical communication, which I have used in my professional life, wherein the few traits of that communication are being cautious, being precise, being disciplined, and being a good methodological problem solver. So in my profession, I always believe in problem solving. So any communication, there are hindrances, okay? There are few, let's say, glitches in the communication, but as a good communicator, you have to also solve those glitches and ensure that there is no sense of enmity, or there is no harshness, and there is a kind of mutual agreement in whatever we are speaking. So problem solving is one of the important aspects which I believe, and that made me a little successful in my field. And also that preciseness in the communication is very important. We cannot talk absurdly. We cannot we should try not to use the words which are a little bit heavy and couldn't understood by the receiver. So being precise is also important, and cautiousness is important, because there may be situations of happiness, situations of sad, and we have to very much be particular and cautious enough that what language we are using. So in all, I would like to say that this analytical type of communication helped me a lot. So we should always remember that in order to let's say have a good rapport with the people, in order to be in order to stand out in the society, we should ensure that the receiver should acknowledge us. Over to you. Thank you so much, Toastmasters of the day.
Thank you, Amay. So before you leave, if you can compare yourself to a cartoon character, who would that be?
Yeah, I feel not to take this cartoon character seriously, but I personally like Mowgli because whenever I hear this, the music of Mowgli, that takes back me to the childhood, and I simply cannot, interrupt that song. I can listen to that Mowgli song for almost 50 times. That reminds me of the childhood, and there's a lot of things to learn from Mowgli. That a human child was treated so much good in the community of animals, and then they later how he was like accepted by the community.
I know. I think Mowgli is very special for all of us.
Yeah.
So now going to our sixth speech for the day is by Toastmaster Madhuvani. She is giving her level 5 completion speech. And as per our tradition, I request fellow Toastmasters and guests to unmute and applaud her after the speech. Before I call upon the speaker, I request evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Ankit, to read out the objective of the speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Parvathy. Toastmaster Madhuvani, as said by Toastmaster, is attempting level 5 final speech from the effective coaching path. The purpose of this project is for the member to reflect on his or her growth during the completion of an entire path. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspects of his or her growth during the completion of a path. Timer, please note, time is 10 to 12 minutes. I repeat, the time is 10 to 12 minutes. I wish Vivacious Madhuvani all the best. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ankit. Toastmaster Madhuvani, you are your own judge. You are your own judge, Toastmaster Madhuvani.
Good evening, Toastmaster of the Day, my fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. Here I am, giving my final speech of level 5 of my entire pathway, effective coaching. That means I have completed all the projects, all my speeches according to the objectives. I thought about this title, You Are Your Own Judge, because Toastmasters is a self-paced program. You might be a good speaker. You also learn, take lots of suggestions from other speakers, their evaluations. Then you tend to experiment in the Toastmasters. It is like a laboratory. You tend to experiment. You come out with some experiments. You can take risk. Ultimately, when you come out with a speech, you are the one who measure the growth, right? That's why I call it as you are your own judge. Today's my speech, I want to divide it into 3. One is, what is the need I felt why I joined Toastmasters? Secondly, what are the projects, various projects I gave, and what is that they taught me, how I grew? Thirdly, what is my takeaway, and what is that I learned from Toastmasters, and how am I going to implement that in my personal and professional life? It all started 2.5 years back when I wanted my son Aryaman to learn something, say like I wanted him to learn some impromptu skills. So I took him to the Gavel Club. To those who don't know, Gavel Club is the miniature form of Toastmasters Club. He actively participated in the impromptu speaking, and he was very happy with what he spoke. That made me think, children are so proactive. Every child has a unique skill. They are very spontaneous. They don't fear asking questions. They learn. They don't fear appreciating other children. I felt a lot of happiness in dealing with them. And as I started going for further meetings, I got an urge. I got a feel of joining Toastmasters. I also felt like joining Toastmasters. I went to my husband. I told him, I want to join Toastmasters. He said, now what is that? Probably he thought some exercise class next door. I said, no, Toastmasters. In Toastmasters, you learn speaking, thinking, and listening skills. I also told him, in Toastmasters, it promotes self-actualization. It enhances leadership potential. It also forges human understanding and ultimately it serves humanity. He said, repeat the first line. I told him, it teaches us speaking, thinking, and listening skills. He said, you require that more. So go join Toastmasters. So there I was. I landed up in Toastmasters. My very first speech was humorous speech contest. What happened is I always used to think that I can easily tickle the funny bone of others. So I thought humorous speech might not be that difficult. So I directly participated in the contest and I spoke what I prepared for. But that day, I learned one more thing. Speaking is not only speaking. Our entire body speaks. Our face, our eyes, our hands, our gestures, everything speaks. So with that learning, I gave my first icebreaker speech. I still remember in my icebreaker speech, I was speaking about my likes, dislikes, what I do. And I remember to have spoken about the reptiles, which I'm scared of. I used one thing that I said that I'm scared of lizards, but I'm more scared when they disappear. And I also told about my favorite place of eateries and all. So I enjoyed the speech. By the end of it, when I got the evaluation, which I still remember, I was told that icebreaker speech is the only speech generally where you speak about your parents, your siblings, and what they inspire and what is the inspiration and how you are here and what are you all made of. So with that learning, I went ahead with my other speeches. My mentor was Toastmaster Vinay Kumar Srivastava. One day when I was not remembering, when I was a little scared and nervous about giving my speech, I think it was my communication speech. Yes, my communication style. I went up to him and I said that I am a bit nervous. I might forget some lines. I don't know whether I'll be remembering my speech. So then he said, Madhuvani, you know your speech. I don't know your speech. None of them know your speech. Even if you forget a line here and there, it doesn't matter. Go with the flow. So that is a confidence he gave me. And I went through and the speech was, I enjoyed speaking. There was the speech on your communication style. While I was speaking about my communication style, there I remember I said something about the direct communication and the indirect communication. What is direct communication? What is my style of communication? There I brought in one auntie, exaggeration auntie, and I call her Ayo auntie. I brought that character into my speech because that character is the one who exaggerates for everything. When I had to show how exaggeration always doesn't help and it is not received. So I brought in as a fun element and that auntie was exaggerating. So that was a fun part of my speech. I also told how I sometimes communicate indirectly. I narrated some incident with my husband when I was not in good terms or when we were not in talking terms, how I did indirect communication, like how I banged the door. I ran even without exchanging the pleasantries, ran into the room, closed the door, banged the door, just through the, bang the food items and all. So all this, I was trying to tell how the indirect communication does and how it is not going to help us because we are not able to communicate with the person nor able to explain him how we are feeling. I remember a project, the other one when I was explaining about the leadership skills, the project where it wanted to show what is how I arrived at what my leadership style is. I took an example of a boy whom I have seen in Landmark who was actually arranging the Lego, you know, those building blocks of Lego. How that boy displayed all the characteristics of a real leader. When I was observing him, I observed his vision, how he was coordinating with other children, what are the, he was also open for suggestions, how he was delegating the other children of his age in building blocks. So I was observing him and I was seeing and trying to understand how the leadership style is shown by that child. While he was also open to the suggestions, and he had some fallback action also if something doesn't work out, how he is going to go about it. So all this made me think, what is my leadership style? On that day, yes, I had told that it is service leadership style. So that was the speech which I enjoyed giving the most. There was a learning from that. I had even my evaluator, she liked the speech and she gave some suggestions. So that was it. And one more speech was there, which is on the creating the consensus. There I spoke about how I had a problem, how I faced the problem, how I convinced all the members who are related to the problem, and how we arrived at the consensus. There I had to speak about the incident of my Gavel club, wherein there was a reducing membership, where people were, children were not attending the meetings. So what we had to do, we had to arrive at a consensus, like what is that change we are going to bring so that all the children attend the classes regularly. So we thought about it. We thought we'll give them some smileys or we'll give them some goodies. Since till then we didn't have the concept of best speaker and all, because they were all children. So we had introduced the best speaker thing. For that we had to convince a whole lot of EXCOM and parents, especially because parents were against the thing, not the children. So we had to take consensus from all the parents, from the children, and convince them how I went about it, how I, being in EXCOM, I'm the parent of the EXCOM, so I helped the children. I'm also a mentor at Gavel Club, how we had done and how we arrived at the consensus. So that was all the learning process, and I had explained that to that in my speech. There was one high performance leadership speech, which also I had taken up. High performance leadership is comes in the level 5, wherein I had to organize a contest for all the children, how I went about forming the groups, what was my strategy behind it, how I formed a committee and how I discussed with the people and how we had implemented it. And I spoke about it in the club. The feedback what I got from that is, I was told that I should be more talking about the risks, what I have taken, the problems, what I have solved, and I should be speaking more about what I have learned through the entire exercise. The previous speech of mine was I had to get evaluated from my evaluator, who has seen me working for more than a year in a volunteer organization. I was very happy. I'm very happy to share my evaluator has given me a 360-degree evaluation of my work in leadership, in communication, in interpersonal skills, in problem solving skills. He has told me that I have been good in all these areas, but yes, he gave me some suggestions. He said that I should be taking up more risks. I should be not, I should be able to call a spade a spade. So that is what I learned from that. Friends, this Toastmasters journey has taught me a lot. It has taught me how to speak sense, timed. So in a particular time, how I can convey what I am thinking, what comes to my mind. So I thank Toastmasters and all the people who are directly or indirectly associated with my growth. And I also want to tell you that my journey doesn't end here. I am going ahead. After the completion of this, my pathway of effective coaching, I'm going to take up the other pathway of engaging humor. As I said, I am going to experiment. It's not that now I know that I cannot easily tickle the funny bone of others. So I will take my time. I will also experiment and come out with speeches in my future. So wish me all the best and thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Congratulations, Madhuvani, on your path completion and all the best for your future Toastmaster journey too.
Thank you so
So
much.
before you go, one small tiny weeny question.
I know.
If you could meet your favorite cartoon character, who would that be?
See, when you were speaking about cartoons, I could see my Jerry running from here, there to here to there. So it is very difficult for me to handle this Jerry at my house. This Jerry is my son. So I am still coping up. How can I find time to watch any cartoon characters or even enjoy the cartoon? So let me deal with this, Jerry, now for now, and then next meeting probably I'll be able to tell you. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks a
I
lot.
can relate to it. I can relate to it. You have a Jerry, I have a Marsha.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Madhuvani. Now that brings us to the end of all our speeches. Now let me call upon our timer, Toastmaster Anand, for the report.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Parvati. All speakers have spoken well, and I would read out the timing report. Toastmaster Anisha finished in 5 minutes 40 seconds. Toastmaster Manas, it's 7 minutes 39 seconds. Toastmaster RP, 6 minutes 16 seconds. Toastmaster Kalpana, 7 minutes 28 seconds. Toastmaster Amay, 7 minutes 9 seconds. Toastmaster Madhuvani, 12 minutes 15 seconds. So except Toastmaster Manas, all are qualified for this. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anand, for that detailed report. So can we have the poll for the best speaker? Is the poll ready?
Yes, polls are ready.
If you can launch it.
I have launched the poll. Five are remaining. Now 4.
Okay.
3.
Are we done?
3 are remaining still. Can I stop it?
Yep, that's okay. I think you need to stop.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we are running out of time.
Okay, I have stopped it.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. He has stopped the polling.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I think I went out of the meeting for some time. So, yeah, do we have the poll for the role plays this time?
It will be at the end.
Okay. So now we are coming to the end of this session. Now I call our general evaluator for his views and his reports. Over to you, general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Parvati.
Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Thanks a lot, Parvati. I hope all of you are able to hear and see me. So, as I mentioned, I'm the general evaluator for the day. I'll be facilitating the overall evaluation session for this meeting. So, without further ado, let me move ahead. The first section within the evaluation, which is going to be an evaluation for the prepared speeches. So, let me call upon the evaluator number 1. Who would be evaluating the speech given by the prepared speaker number 1. So can I have Toastmaster Ruben, evaluator number 1, to do his audio video check before he can start his evaluation?
Yes, am I visible?
Yes, you're visible, audible. Over to you, Toastmaster Ruben.
I can't see the timer cards. Could you just flip through them, please? Yes. All right. Good.
Perfect.
Toastmaster Anisha. The one thing that I would definitely say to you today is congratulations. You may go ahead to win multiple accolades in your Toastmaster journey. You may complete your levels, you may complete your path, win contests, take up the leadership roles. But none of those milestones would be possible without the one that you completed today, which was your icebreaker. Congratulations to you for that. As far as the objectives of your icebreaker goes, you met each and every one of them. You painted a picture of your life, the way you saw it as an army brat, as you described it, from the beginning till the current or the present. Your voice, your tonality, and your open body language are three things that kind of worked in your favor, and those are commendations from my end to you, especially for your icebreaker speech. Coming to what could you have done better? When I heard you speak, the first thought that popped into my head is, this girl talks a lot like Hemingway. So at any point, if you've ever read Hemingway, so Hemingway has a style where he kind of describes the thing without actually describing it. He will not describe the thing in its directly, but rather the things around it, which forces the listener or the reader to picturize what he intends to describe. You kind of depicted that at the beginning. You mentioned your entire life as an army brat, the various facets of your life as an army brat, but you never told us about your family. That is one thing that I found missing. You could have told me who you grew up with. You took us everywhere, from all the places that you've traveled all over the country. Like you said, as an army brat, people ask you, where are you from? And you're staring into open space like, I'm not really sure how to answer that. But the benefit that comes from that is you have a huge kitty of stories, deep stories to pull things out from. And that is the one thing that I felt that was deeply missing from this speech today. I mean, you actually teased us with little facts and figures that I've seen this, I've seen that, I've been here, I've been there, I've done this and I've done that, but you didn't give us a good story. Just you could have elaborated a little more. You had time to do that, and which would have taken your speech to an entirely different level. My second point is, please look at the camera or at the screen, preferably the camera. It's a tough thing to do, but please keep your eyes at the camera or at the screen. You kept looking above your device, which kind of gave me the impression as if you were reading from some piece of material pasted on your wall or something like that. I'm sure that is not the case, but that is a small observation from my end. Your speech was on point. What it missed, and like you said, since you wanted to explore different parts of the country and new languages, was a story to kind of wrap the whole thing together. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ruben, for that evaluation. Let's move ahead with evaluation number 2 for the prepared speaker number 2. So let me call upon the evaluator number 2, Toastmaster Sanish. Sanish, do you want to do an audio video check and the timer card check?
Yes, I can see the timer cards. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, you're visible. So over to you, Toastmaster Sanish.
Thank you. Toastmaster Manas, an amazing speech. The purpose of the speech for you to give a speech on any topic, and I love the topic which you have chosen: happiness and suffering, light and dark, joy and pain. That is the topic everybody loves. And the way you started with an amazing book, The Life of Pi, on which a movie was also made. And any speech, whenever the audience come, the speaker always has to ask himself or herself, when the people are listening to me, what is the takeaway for them? And for me, the highlight of the speech was that particular thing, the message. Never give up, always have the hope. And it reminded me of one of the quotes I have heard. A man can live for 40 days without food, for 8 days without water, for around 4 minutes without air, but only for 1 second without hope. Whenever I'm going to face any difficulty or challenge in my life, I'm going to remember this speech where you highlighted how a major celebrity like Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own business venture which he had set up, and how he struggled and came back. How you made the speech relevant to the current scenario in the pandemic, where due to the adverse social and economic conditions, many people are facing adversities. And you highlighted the message of having the hope and not to give up. And at the end, you also said yourself as an entrepreneur, you're facing various challenges, but you're still continuing to have the hope. Now, what I liked about the speech was another thing. There was a moment where I felt you had a small lapse. Maybe your attention diverted, or maybe someone on the screen spoke something or moved. But still, you didn't give up. You again came back, found your center of focus, and again you carried on. And that is something I would like to bring attention to all the audience over here. It is going to happen to the best of us, where we may flounder and make mistake. But what is important is like how Manas did today, not to get diverted and to continue give on speech. Now, two things I would like to highlight, which I believe would help to take the speech further. First, as you have taken a speech of happiness and sadness, I think more energy and enthusiasm would have taken the speech further ahead. And for this particular speech, I would have suggested if you get given the speech in a standing position, that would have helped you to bring out more energy easily. And the second thing is, I would have liked to know more about your personal journey. You as an entrepreneur, what are the challenges, difficulties you faced? That is something unique to yourself. More than Steve Jobs, I would have loved to know more about your journey. All the best to Manas to you ahead, and I'm hopeful to see more speech going ahead. Thank you, and over to you, General.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anish, the evaluation. Moving ahead uh, with the evaluation number 3 for prepared speaker number 3, let me call upon Toastmaster Sai Kumar for audio video check and timer check. Timer cut check.
Yeah, I can see the timer, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, visible. Over to you, Toastmaster Sai Kumar.
Thank you, General Evaluator of the Day, fellow Toastmaster and Toastmaster Aarti. This topic I could relate very much. I could relate very much because last month, as the speaker said, it was World Sparrow Day, and I have posted this message in my WhatsApp status. Please save the sparrow, because sparrows are getting lesser day by day. And today, Toastmaster Aarti brought various things, did a well research about the topic save the species sparrow. And indeed, sparrow is a symbol of humanity, and we need to take steps to save the sparrow. So you got attention to all of us by something whispering sound, and I could relate, is it the real or is it recording? Coming to your content, three things which I have highlighted here, the content and clarity. So you have a content research material that how the population have declined over a decade. And to add value to your research study, you brought supporting materials, examples of, say, agriculture research and the coastal area and other states where the decline rate is close to 70 to 80% now. Content has all the research of the decline and how you specified it by the deforestation and unavailability of nest, which is also the main cause of decline of sparrows. Coming to the delivery front of your speech, second point, you had a good eye contact with the audience. And the audience, to bring audience awareness how to save this species, you gave a message, a call to action about a doctor who had started building artificial bird nests to save the sparrow. Now, what I was, since it's a research topic, what I was thinking, like we could have dig more about the research by giving stats and figures and a comparison of a decade of 10 years back, how it was, and now the decline rate is red. The percentage wise of a little bit of a 10-year span of time. And second, I could have also, you could have also brought some kind of interaction with audience by any kind of question to bring a strong call to action. To sum up, I would say you did a good research and you brought various causes and action to save this species. Best of luck for your future speeches. Over to general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai Kumar. Moving ahead with the evaluation number 4 for prepared speaker number 4. Let me call upon Toastmaster Swapna to have an audio video check and the timer cut check.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you. Can you see the cards?
Yes, I can see the cards.
Okay, over to you, Toastmaster Swapna.
Thank you. What a topic. The topic itself was intriguing. How many times do we think about disabled people in our society? Not many times. So this was a very important point brought out in today's speech by the speaker. The second thing which I liked about the speech was props. Props give visual aids. And I am a perfectly visual person. This visual aid got me hooked to the speech like a moth gets drawn to a flame. We usually call them hooks because these visual aids gets a person hooked or brought into the speech of the speaker. The third thing and the most important thing which I loved about this speech was the story. The story made me feel emotional, made me feel empathetic towards the subject of the speaker. And that is how and why we tell stories, to feel empathetic, to draw out the emotions. And that was the most important touch of this speech. Every speech can be made better. And I have few recommendations and few points which could make this speech better. The first one is the speaker should be always ready. If the speaker wants to add a surprise element, the speaker could have coordinated with the Toastmaster of the day and told the Toastmaster of the day, I will turn on this audio and video device only when it is my turn to start speaking. That could have added the surprise element, and the audience did not have to wait for those 30 seconds. The second point, the credibility of the speech. Statistics is the most important thing to add credibility to any research speech. And the numbers, the statistics is something which will tell us that this is a well-researched speech. I felt that was missing in today's speech. The speaker could have added how many disabled people are suffering from corona and how our country and outside countries are facing these issues. The third one is the loss of connect. The story between the doctor and patient made me feel that why were they not writing it? And why was the doctor not writing and showing it to the patient? Why this reading and writing thing could have been added over here and this story would have been a different one? That made it, maybe I felt that it was because the patient was illiterate and maybe was not able to read or write. But that point was missing in that story. So I felt that there was a loss of connect in the speech, for which a mentor could have been a God-sent person to help the speaker. The last one is the takeaway. Although I felt emotional about the speech, I felt there was no takeaway for me from the speech. Let me reiterate a few points from this speech. The topic was great. The surprise element was great, but the takeaway and the readiness of the speaker could have made the speech a better. Over to you, G.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Swapna, for the evaluation. Let's move ahead with evaluation for prepared speaker number 5. Let me call upon Toastmaster Shibani to do an audio video check and the timer cut check. Toastmaster Shibani, There.
Am I audible and visible? I can see the timer cards.
Yes, you're audible, visible. Over to you, Toastmaster Shivani.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. My special good evening to my targeted speaker, TM Amay. Coming to my evaluation, I have divided it into two parts. The first part we would like to discuss on the speech content, then I would move on to your delivery style. Coming to the content part, the key highlights of your content were the smart move wherein you engaged the audience right at the onset of your speech. You quoted two very popular examples of Mahabharat and the well-known Bajigar movie to illustrate and simply explain the importance of communication in our day-to-day lives. One thing which really stood out in your speech was pictorial explanation of the building blocks of a bidirectional communication, wherein you mentioned that there is a speaker, there is a receiver, there is a channel established. What I really missed, this could have been made better if you would have really showed us a pictorial representation of it with the help of a slide. That would have added more value to your content. Lastly, you spoke at length about your unique communication style and the traits which were very impressive. However, I observed to take down any benefits that were coming out of using this particular style. This could have added more value to the audience if you could have explained the situations in which this particular style would make more sense and it would be the valid one to use. Coming to your delivery was clear, precise, methodical. So clearly you have played well to your strengths today. The only thing that I noticed, the other delivery parameters were also on point. For example, your comfort level, wherein you asked a question to the audience and you still waited for the answer without hurriedly answering it by yourself. So that gave you the power and the time to establish a position in the listener's mind. One thing that I observed during your speech were your gestures. I could not observe your gestures because it was completely blocked by the positioning of your camera, and that really downplayed your speech to a certain extent. And the great part is it could be easily fixed with the help of your camera positioning and the distance between yourself and the camera, along with a well-lit room. To sum up, I believe that you already are a great speaker and you know to use your strengths well. For example, content selection, strong examples, storytelling of narration, on point method of delivery are your plus points that could really add value to your speech. I hope you consider a few suggestions that I gave here today to plus up your future speeches. Over to you, TMOD.
Thank you so much, Shubham.
Thank you, evaluator Toastmaster Shivani. Let's move ahead with the last evaluation for prepared speaker number 6. Let me call upon the evaluator number 6, distinguished Toastmaster Ankit, to do an audio video check and the timer card check.
Am I audible? Am I visible?
Yes, you can see the cards, right?
Can you flip the card, please? Yes. Thank you.
Perfect. Over to you, DTM Ankit.
Thank you. You are your own judge. Toastmaster of the day, guests, and my target speaker, Toastmaster Madhubani. It's always heartening to listen to a person reflecting on his or her success. And I was fortunate to be an evaluator for Toastmaster Madhubani's speech today, in which she reflected on her pathway journey with respect to a path, effective communication, effective coaching. I'm also grateful to have been there when she was going through her journey on this path. And my evaluation today will be based on the elements that she did very well, elements that she could have done better, and overall the summary of the speech. Toastmaster Madhubani, you started with giving a background of what Toastmasters is, which is a very important point with respect to people who don't know much about Toastmasters. Then you also told about how Toastmaster benefits in terms of it being a self-paced and also reflecting on your path. The other aspect that I loved about your speech was your structure. There's a point called get to the point at the start itself, which is a very important element in a speech, to not let the audience wonder and let them understand what the speech is about. And you did that pretty well at the start. You told us about what is the structure of a speech. You said that you're going to talk about why you joined Toastmasters, what are the projects that you did, and the takeaway and implementing in your personal or professional life. So the audience, at least me, was sure that this is what I'm going to get out of your speech. And then you started with your speech, in which you gave various examples of your whole journey, snippets from your icebreaker to the other aspects of your speech. And the best part that I loved about these aspects was you had your story about what your speech was about, and you also had a learning, what you learned out of the speech or the feedback. And this will be very important for the new members who are there here to understand how you get the feedback and also implement the feedback moving ahead in your speeches. So a very good job done in that. I really loved the connect that you had with your mentor, and you spoke about it, and I could see it in your eyes when you were talking about your mentors to show that how much affection you have towards the mentor who has helped you move ahead in your Toastmasters journey. So my vivacious Toastmaster Madhubani, what are the points which I felt you can do better? First is that you said that your third point would be takeaway and implementation in your personal or professional life. So I felt that was a point missing. Wherein although you said that these are the points with the evaluator had told me to work on, but I would have loved if you would have said how did you implement them in your personal or professional life? What currently are you doing that you learned in Toastmasters? So that would have been something that I think would have made your speech better in terms of value for me. The second aspect that I like, that I think that could have been done better, which is not your fault, but still I would like to say, because it's a point, is that I think there was a disturbance and your eyes were moving here and there. So I know that you gave a reason for that later on, but that is something which I felt could have been avoided. Overall, a wonderful speech which gave us a whole journey of your pathway and also made me reflect on your whole journey. Only the point about having your professional life described, a professional personal life out of Toastmasters, and also to the coming and the attention towards the screen is something which I felt could have been done better. Looking forward to your humorous speech path. Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ankit, for that evaluation. With that, we'll end the evaluation section for prepared speakers and move ahead, with a couple of other sections which are pending. One is the specific tagging section, and then there would be a general evaluation section for the meeting. So without further delay, let's go ahead with the tagging section. So let me call upon timer for the day, Toastmaster Anand, to give us timing report for all the evaluations, please.
Thank you General Evaluator. All the evaluators have spoken within the time limits and taken up their grace times as well of 3 minutes 20 seconds, and all are qualified for it. Thank you, and over to you, General.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anand, for the crisp report. So as we move ahead, I'll request the Zoom master to come up with a poll for the best evaluator, please. So considering we're just running out of time, I'll move ahead. Let me call upon the R counter for day, Toastmaster Lindsay, to give her R counter report. Toastmaster Lindsay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vaibhav. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you're audible, visible.
Okay, so here's my report for speaker number 1, that is Anisha. I think there were no observations on any crutch words or crutch sounds. Similarly, for the evaluator for Anisha, Toastmaster Ruben. Speaker number 2, Toastmaster Manas. There was usage of crutch words like just, also, and all, once. And the crutch sounds like so, usage of the word so twice, and there were repeats of the word soon 9 times. Speaker number 3, Toastmaster Aarti. The crutch sound usage was more than 5 times, and the usage of only the crutch sound are. Toastmaster Sai Kumar, who evaluated Toastmaster Aarti, the usage of word so was once, like once. I now go ahead with my report for Toastmaster speaker number 4, Toastmaster Kalpana. Usage of crutch words was only once, and yes, and the next speaker, Toastmaster Amey, crutch sounds usage of the word was more than 5 times, so more than 5 times. Usage of crutch words now and that was once. Toastmaster Madhwani, usage of crutch sound was for was more than was 4 times, so 3 times, and crutch words and you know and I 3 times, once and twice. Evaluator Toastmaster distinguished Toastmaster Ankit, crutch sound twice, what twice. Toastmaster Shibani, crutch sound crutch word if twice. This is the report from my end for all the speakers and the evaluators. Thank you. Over to you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Vaibhav.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lindsay. So let me call upon the grammarian for the day for the grammarian report. Toastmaster Sherin, do you want to just have a quick audio video check?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and you are visible. Over to you, Toastmaster Sherin.
Yeah, I will quickly start with the good usage, uncommon words and phrases used by the speakers, evaluators, and role players. First one was scared to the core, army brat, caliber, which also means standard of their ability. Hope is the pillar of faith. Free will, which means ability to choose between different possible outcomes. Ornithologist, people who study birds. Prototype, you know the drill. Really, which is the written language for blind. Inherent is essential attributes. Self-actualization means realization of one's talent and potential. Call a spade, means speaking plainly. Paint a picture. Some of the language which can be worked upon are open your video, which should be switch on your video. Story is published, should be story was published because the story was in the past. Is, was, and where are auxiliary verbs and should be used as per the tense. Can I saw the timer cards should be can I see the timer cards. Still continuing should be you still continued. And the word of the day, Vaivesh, was used 4 times. Kalpana and me used it. Ankit also used it twice. Phrase of the day was not popular. It was used 0 times. And if I've missed anyone, please add your name to the list also. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Well, thanks you, Toastmaster Sherin. With that, let's move ahead to the last section of general evaluation, which is going to be the overall general evaluation by me about the meeting as such. So let me start on a very positive note that it was really, really, one of the best meetings I've attended for this club. So a big kudos to everybody. And that speaks a lot about this club, right? Given the fact that I'm mentor of the club and I'm kind of attending all the meetings of the club from the start on and off, and I could see a very big progress. And the fact that within the 2 months of chartering, if you guys are having a speech marathons meeting, that itself is a big achievement. Trust me, according to me and most of the Toastmasters who are experienced in this meeting right now would agree that the pulse of any Toastmaster meeting is the quality of the speeches and the volume of speeches. The more and more people eager to give speeches, the more successful your club would be. So keep up the good work, guys. I'm really impressed. And the fact that the speech marathon was actually, lived up to its expectation. The fact that there were a variety of speeches, right, ranging from different topics. And what I felt that all of the speakers were well prepared. They gave the best shot. And it was an amazing meeting. the only thing maybe I would really focus while I give the evaluation is the time aspect. uh, by the time I got opportunity to give this general evaluation, it was 24 minutes overdue. So definitely we have to look at the timing aspect. So let me give general evaluation of different role players. So starting with the fact that the meeting started at time. So even though we are ending a bit delayed, the meeting started on time. Sergeant at Arms, he gave a pretty nice opening with meeting hygienes, nicely covered everything, confident, and he was bang on his time. Uh, and he played the Zoom master role too today. Toastmaster Sachin, kudos. I couldn't see any glitches from the way you had handled the Zoom master role. So big thumbs up for you. Presiding officer, again, pretty much less to say about Ankit. Very good, crisp. I just believe that maybe while we are drafting the agenda, we may be a bit realistic about this section. Is 2 minutes for a presiding officer to cover the opening for the meeting and do guest introduction, maybe a bit less. So maybe we need to cut short on the other sections and give him at least 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, the host of the meeting, Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Parvathy. Amazing job. I really, kind of, if I could use the word, I envy the way you have done the meeting today. I learned a lot. Maybe I'm going to incorporate this in my next role as TMOD in Agnes Toastmasters Club on 24th. Uh, your confidence and your engagement and how you kept the energy of this meeting always high is really commendable. I had to say that. And as one of my favorite speakers has told today, quoting her, that speaking is just not speaking. Speaking is your entire persona speaking. So today you actually showed that to all of us, that how your entire persona speaks. This was a very energetic meeting. You engaged with the role players, you were warm, you made sure that people are glued to this meeting. And one myth you busted today is the fact that you need to stand up to be energetic. I think you didn't stand up. You had space constraints, I believe so, and you showed us how to make the best usage of the space you have and still be energetic. So amazing, kudos to you, like big thumbs up. Nice explanation of the meeting structure. Few points I'll have is, maybe though you bringing up the energy, I felt one of the key role of Toastmaster of the day is to have a check on the time. Maybe you could have managed the time in a better way, where if you saw where you started seeing that maybe it's falling apart from the agenda, you could have cut short on some of the contents and maybe brought it back towards the timelines as prescribed in agenda. So that's one thing as a host maybe you need to look forward to. And other aspect I'll recommend you is maybe do an audio video check. This might not be applicable in a physical meeting, but before you actually announce the title of the speech, I think that happened for all the 5 speeches or 6 speeches, or 5 speeches at least. First do the audio video check and then do the audience in the introduction of the speech title, because that's the clue for a speaker. As soon as the introduction of title is done, he or she can start with the speech. So maybe that's one thing you can take care of. uh, Toastmaster Anand, nice explanation. I think you have done a great job. So I just have good things for you. Keep it up. Our counter, Toastmaster Lindsay, again, nice explanation, detailed reports. Only one recommendation, maybe since you were reading out your report at the end, maybe you could prepare a summary of the report before you are actually called upon. So maybe that way you can be more to the point and crisp. Uh, Grammarian for the day, Toastmaster Sharon, nice explanation. Maybe one recommendation I have for you, which is again, maybe comparing with the physical meetings, is in physical meetings, the word of the day is hanging somewhere or written on the board in the physical meeting. Since on the electronic mode, that's not possible. Maybe you could paste those phrase of the word. So the phrase of the week and the word of the week or word of the meeting, right in the chat box before you actually introduce the word, so that people can actually look at it. That's the only recommendation I have. All the evaluators were great. They tried to evaluate the speech. Few evaluations I really loved. Swapna, your evaluation, I just wanted to call out, was amazing. I learned a lot from it. Just a recommendation for all of the evaluators. I somewhere felt maybe we were diverging towards evaluating the speaker as such. Just try to not do that in future evaluations. Evaluate the speech, not the evaluator. And lastly, I won't say feedback, but let me as general evaluator and mentor of this club, let me give a challenge to this club. Couple of challenges. One, uh, you could take this as a feedback and a challenge for next meeting. One challenge would be, maybe let's be better prepared before the meeting on how to share the screen. Like I think Toastmaster Swapna also highlighted that, maybe at speaker, and this all of us have to do, all the role players, be ready with the timer cards, be ready with how to, what is your what is your prop items, or be ready with your PPTs. And in case somebody is presenting, how can we do even the presenting and timer cards at the same time? I think there are ways you can do in Zoom. I'll be more than happy to help you guys. Maybe we should make that role plays group more active and be prepared so that meeting is more smooth. And lastly, I would recommend on the timing aspect, maybe we need to draft our agenda as per the actual or realistic timings, and track those timings. I would recommend maybe going forward, the timer should have those cards visible throughout the meeting and keep giving the hints of red, at least yellow and red, to the role players too, so that we finish on time. Maybe the challenge for next 5 meetings for us would be, for the next 5 meeting, let's try to end our meeting right at 5:45. So with that, I'll end my evaluation and hand it over to the presiding officer for the day, distinguished Toastmaster Ankit.
Thank you, General Evaluator Toastmaster Vaibhav. Let us all give a round of applause to Toastmaster Vaibhav. It's always a pleasure having you as a General Evaluator, Vaibhav, and you really give very good and constructive feedback that the club can use, and we are really lucky to have you as a mentor for our club. And surely we'll take your points into consideration, and we'll strive to be better as we move ahead in our Toastmasters journey. Thank you. And dear members and guests, how was the meeting? Did you like the speeches, the evaluations? Wonderful. I can see a lot of thumbs up. And I myself was very glad to see all the speakers being so well prepared and coming and giving their speeches, and all the evaluations also very constructive and very well structured. So we had a very good meeting, and I know we are going ahead of, we are past the time that we had come in. I'll quickly ask the Zoom master to please launch the poll for the best auxiliary role player. We'll not have a best role player today because we didn't have the Toastmaster table topic master. So because of that, we cannot have the best role player, but we'll have the best auxiliary role player. So if you can quickly just vote for the best auxiliary role player among the R counter, timer, grammarian, and Zoom master. And as you're going ahead with the polling, I would like to now introduce our area director. He came in a bit late, hence I couldn't introduce him. Our area director for area M5, Toastmaster Sanish Babu. I would request Toastmaster Sanish to please come and address our club with a few words. Over to you, Toastmaster Sanish.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Ankit. It's amazing to see the club has grown so much in such a short time. So I think most of the points already my friend Vaibhav, general evaluator, has covered. So I don't have much points. Like he had rightly mentioned, like to have such a prepared speakathon, it's a milestone, and that too we had a diversity, like from level 1 to level 5, and that too so much diverse topics. So I'm really amazed to look and very happy. And it's like they say, you never forget your first love, and you never forget, as an area director, you never forget the first club you chartered. So I have special bond with the club. I'll always have. Right now I'm the area director, so even in future when I won't be the area director, but I will always remember the club, because having worked towards the club along with a strong team like Ankit, Madhuvani, Vaibhav, many others who are there in the room and who are not in this room currently, all had helped me to help charter the club. So it's always going to be special. I remember Parvathy also, right from I think June we had started, so she had been from June till January when we chartered the club. So many moments created, memories made, and as already we are running late, so thank you, and over to you, Ankit.
Thank you, Sanish, and thank you for always being there to support the club. Now, dear members, we'll go ahead with our award ceremony. So first, I would like to ask our Zoom master, Toastmaster Sachin, are you ready with the certificates?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I would now like to call first, we had an icebreaker speech today. So I would like to call Toastmaster Anisha to please turn on a video. We would like to give you the certificate for icebreaker. Toastmaster Anisha. And Toastmaster Sachin, if you can just, yeah, okay, great. Anisha is, yeah, you can just spotlight Toastmaster Anisha.
Sorry, Ankit, can you spotlight because I'm not getting option here.
Okay, I'll just do that. Yeah. Okay, great. So you can just take a quick photo, Toastmaster Sachin.
Yeah. I think Anisha is not visible.
1 second. Okay, Anisha, I think she left. Okay, no issues. Now we'll go ahead with the best evaluator. And the best evaluator for today's session is Toastmaster Ruben. Toastmaster Ruben, congratulations for being the best evaluator for today's session, and thank you for coming to our club and always supporting the club. Thank you. Sachin, if you can take a quick photograph.
Yes, yes, done.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll move ahead to the best auxiliary role player. So this is where Sachin will have to help me because I didn't check the result. So best auxiliary role player is Toastmaster Sharon as the grammarian. Toastmaster Sharon, congratulations on being the best auxiliary role player. Congratulations. Now coming to the best speaker, and the best speaker for the day is Toastmaster Madhuvani. Toastmaster Madhuvani, congratulations on being the best speaker for the day, and all the best for your further path. Thank you. With this, let us now move ahead with our okay, Zoom master, can you just spotlight me? I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of things together. Okay, great. So with this, we had a wonderful meeting today, and as we are running out of time, I would now like to just end the meeting, and then we'll have a quick amount of feedback and a bit of networking, because after that we have an execom session with the general with the area director, so we'll have to be there for that too. But I would like to end the session now. It was a wonderful session. The next session that we are going to have is the 10th session. We are going to have it next Sunday, and we also have our division contest that's going to happen next Sunday, and we have our very own member Toastmaster Kalpana, who's gone up all the way to the division. We are very proud of her. She is going to represent our club and the area M5 in the division table topics contest, which is going to be held on 18th of April morning 10 a.m. So please be present. Yes, and one more thing before I end the meeting is, some of our members have been going to other clubs. So like Toastmaster Amaya yesterday went to Kharga Toastmasters Club to give a speech. Toastmaster Kalpana took a MOC role, that is Master of Ceremonies role, in an area contest. Toastmaster Aarti took up a Sergeant at Arms role at an area contest. So kudos to all the Toastmasters, our members, for doing this. And also I would request all the members, if you're doing these kind of roles, or if you're taking up roles in other clubs, please do put it in a group so that other members can also know about it and come to the sessions to support you, and you will also be there to see familiar faces. So that will be a good way we can go about. With this, I end the meeting for today. Thank you everyone for being part of this meeting, and looking forward to the next meeting. Okay, we can stop the recording, Toastmaster Sachin.